Hi everyone, welcome to Splunk Guru. So today we are going to see how to post the bundle from the cluster master to the peer nodes. If you remember, when we configured the single site indexer clustering, we tried to create the index and then we post some sample test events to that index, and we saw how the data was getting replicated across peer nodes. Right. So if you haven't seen that video, this is the video I'm referring, so you can just go back and watch it once to get the clear understanding of the indexer clustering concept. Fine. So, uh, but if you remember, we tried to configure the index manually by logging into the each indexer. So that's not the way you need to go along in the production environment, even in the test environment as well. If you're using the clustering, you anyway have the manager node to manage the things across your peer nodes, right? So there is no point of making the config changes manually. So, and like any config change to your peer nodes, uh, any add-on, if you have to deploy any application, if you have to push, you always need to rely on the master node. Just make sure that you're not making any config changes manually on any of the peer nodes. That may create the conflicts, and then your environment may not work as expected. So it's always recommended to make any changes to your peer nodes using the master node. Fine. So if you remember, during single site cluster implementation, we created this test index by logging to each indexer separately, and then the data was not getting replicated. Then we defined ref factor equals to auto. So post adding that, the data started replicating. So now today we are going to push the bundle from the master node to the peer nodes. And that's again, like in this session, we will see the process is going to remain same, but in this session specifically, we are going to see how to create the index uh, by pushing the bundle from the master node to the peer node, and so that it keeps the configs identical across all your peer nodes. So instead of creating the index manually by logging to each indexer or by modifying the indexes.conf manually on the peer nodes, we will push that bundle from the master node. Fine. So this is the master node. You can see everything is fine. Everything has turned green. There are no issues. So let's go to the backend of this master node. Fine. So this is the master node. So what we will do, let's create a custom app. So anything you need to push from the master node to the peer nodes, you have this directory called opt splunk etc. So you do not need to go inside apps here. You need to go to etc master apps, because this is our master instance. Anything or everything we push inside this master apps, we want it to be pushed to the peer nodes, which in our case index 1, 2, 3. So go to master apps. Here you see cluster. So we will not touch this one. What we will do, we'll create our custom app here. And we are going to push the index today, indexes.conf. So we'll create some relevant name, Splunk TA custom. Okay, perfect. So go to this directory now, create the folder called local. Fine. So here we will create indexes.conf. Fine. So let's create the index. So we are going to create AWS S3 index. We want it to be created across all our peer nodes. And if you remember about this ref factor equals to R2. So this is the important point you need to remember. Unless you define ref factor equals to R2, your indexes won't be replicated, right? So that's what we saw during single site indexer clustering implementation as well. By default, it's 0, which means the data won't be replicated. So what we will do, we'll define it in top of the indexes.conf to make it general across all your index configurations you do in this file. If you just define this extender somewhere here, then it's going to be imply only on this index. But we want it to be implied to all our indexes be pushed through this indexes.conf. Okay, so let's copy this and we'll create this AWS S3 index. Just save it. Fine. So now this file has been created. Let's validate whether our bundle, or before validating the bundle, let me show you something else. So let's see if you see any index. It's not there. It's not there either. So in any of the peer nodes, you don't see any index named AWS or anything. AWS underscore or nothing. Nothing is there as of now. So what we are going to do, we'll validate the bundle, whether the configs we made just now, whether those are valid or not. So there are two ways to validate your bundle. First, you can go to your master node and here inside settings, indexer clustering. We are already there, but I'm just giving you a walkthrough how to reach there. If you click on edit and go to configure bundle actions. So here you can see, right, validate and check restart. So it will validate your bundle as well as it will check whether the peer node has to be restarted after pushing this bundle. So let's check. Okay, so the validation got failed. Let's try to troubleshoot why it's failing. So here you don't see much info like why it got failed, but on the backend, when you go to your master node, if we will check the bundle status, it will give us the exact reason why it's failing. I don't think it's related to this config what we are trying to push now, but let's check. Splunk so cluster bundle status. No, sorry. Firstly, you need to run validate cluster bundle. So this is the second way to validate your bundle. So now the bundle has been validated. It won't populate any output here, but you can run this command now to see what was the output of the validating the bundle. So if we run that now, sorry. Fine. So here you see the detailed info now. So this is the master node. Last validation status failure. So the validation got failed. And here you see the error. Fine. So it says app search with replicated index test is needed. Okay, I think I got the problem. So if you remember during the single site indexer clustering, we created this test index across all peer nodes manually, right? We did not push this index configuration using the master node. That is the reason it's not able to validate this test index. So it's related to the old index, previous index that we created. It's not able to validate this test index because it's not residing on the master node now. So that's the important point actually now it has come up. So you need to make sure whatever config changes you are pushing, you need just make sure that, and this is the conflict actually I was trying to explain in beginning, right? To push everything using the master node. Otherwise you might land up in a similar situation where the conflicts are there and then your environment fails. Fine, so we will try to fix it. Let's see if we can fix it using this indexes.conf, the one what we are trying to post right now. So let's copy the same stanza and we'll rename it to the test index. Just to make sure the test index, which is there on the peer nodes, it's here on the master node as well. So it's very important thing to know, right? Uh, and it's good. It has come up now, so it's kind of a troubleshooting as well. Fine. So we saved now. Let's try to validate now. So this is another way of validating the bundle. You not always need necessarily go to a Splunk web and validate. You can validate using CLI as well. So after validating, show the bundle status. Fine. So now you can see the validation was success. And it also says that restart not required. It means it will push the configurations to your peer nodes. However, it will not restart your peer nodes because that restart validation says that restart not required. Fine. So I think you got the idea why the validation failed at first place and how we fixed it. Fine. So now our validation is done. So again, to push the bundle to the peer nodes, what you can do, you can validate here also now. So it will pass. It says successful now. So this is your existing bundle, and this is the validation what we ran just now. So you can either click on this push button, it will push the config changes to your peer nodes, or using the CLI as well, you can do that. Go to backend, or let's try to push the bundle from the backend. And here are few commands. I'll put them in the description of this video so you can easily refer them. So to validate, you can use validate bundle. If you want to check restart, whether the restart is required or not, you can append check restart. And to apply the bundle, you just need to run Splunk apply cluster bundle. If you're doing it through the CLI, otherwise you can always choose Splunk web to push the bundle. This one we already saw how to, what's the use of show cluster bundle status. So after validating the bundle, you always need to check like what was the outcome of validating the bundle, right? So using show cluster bundle status, you can do that. Fine. So let's try to push the bundle now. So Splunk and then just apply cluster bundle. But before pushing the bundle, let's go to the peer node, go to Splunk. So here again, inside etc apps, the bundle won't be pushed. Here you have a one sec, Splunk etc. So you here you have a directory called peer apps, right? And if you go there, you don't have anything as of now. So if you check on all your peer nodes, nothing. Just the default cluster directory is there. So on all the three peer nodes, we don't see any bundle from the master node as of now. So let's push now. Okay, so if you see the output, applying new bundle, the peers may restart depending on the configuration in the applied bundle. That we already checked, so it will not restart. So now it's saying again to check the status, whether it was applied or not. So to how you will get to know whether the bundle was applied or not. So here is your active bundle 09, right? Before validating the new bundle. And if you see here, last validated bundle. So this is the bundle that we got after making the config changes in indexes.conf. The changes what we are trying to push to the peer nodes. So now when you will check Splunk show cluster bundle status, at both these places, active bundle and latest bundle, you should see this number 769 at last. So let's check. Perfect. So you can see 769, 769. So now that 769 bundle which was generated, it has been posted now, and that's the active bundle as of now. So now let's go to peer nodes, check. I think it's in progress. Just allow it some time. Fine. So now on the peer one, I can see that bundle got pushed. Let's check on the peer node two. I think it's still in progress. Peer node 3, it's still in progress. Okay, let's check now on the peer node 2. Perfect. So we got the bundle on the peer node 2 as well, on the peer node 3 as well. So this is how you need to push the changes, any config changes from your master node to the peer node. So I think it's clear, and you got to know like how to check the bundle status, how to validate it, how to push it to your peer nodes. What issues can come up, that also we saw, right? So there were conflicts with the test index that we created manually. So it's always recommended, and you should make sure that your any config changes you are pushing to your peer nodes. Just make sure you are doing it through the master node. Just make sure you do not make any config changes manually to any of your peer nodes. That may create the conflict, and that will eventually lead to issues in your environment. So now I am on the front end. This is my peer node 1, indexer 1. So you can see AWS has 3 index. Let's go to peer node 2, refresh. You can see AWS has 3 index, peer node 3. You can see peer node, you can see AWS has 3 index on the peer node 3 as well. So I think that's it for this session. I hope it will be helpful to you. I, I tried to explain like how to validate the bundle, how to push the configuration changes from the master node to the peer nodes, how you can do that by creating the custom map, uh, how to troubleshoot the issue. So using the CLI, if you validate your bundle, you will get to know the errors then and there. Secondly, you can refer the Splunk.log always to get to know more about the error, why the bundle validation is failing. So I think, yeah, that's it for this session. But still, if you have any doubts, if you want me to cover anything more on this, or if you have any clarification, I will, you can just leave a comment, drop your comment, and I'll try to reply as soon as possible. So thanks for the patience. Thanks for watching. Let's meet in the next video now. Thanks.